Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the English Hour. I'm your host, Sophia, and today I'm sitting down once again with our wonderful guest, Jacob.
Hey Sophia, hey everyone listening. It's always good to be here.
You know, Jacob, I was thinking, sometimes we forget how powerful simple conversations can be. Just sitting and talking without any pressure.
Totally agree. I feel like in today's world, everything is so fast-paced: emails, texts, voice notes, social media, that we forget how to actually talk to one another.
It's funny how talking has become something we need to relearn, like a lost art.
That's true. And not just talking, but listening too. Deep listening, where you're not just waiting to respond, but really absorbing what the other person is saying.
So let's do that today. No rush, no script, just flowing thoughts. Wherever the conversation goes, we follow.
Sounds perfect. Where should we begin?
How about this? What's something you've recently realized that changed the way you see life?
Whoa, starting deep already. Okay. I think recently I've realized how much I used to tie myself worth to productivity.
That's a big one. I think so many people can relate to that. Like, if we're not doing something constantly, we feel like we're failing.
Exactly. And I didn't even notice it for a long time. I'd feel guilty for relaxing or anxious if my to-do list wasn't finished.
It's like rest became a luxury instead of a necessity.
Yes, but the thing is, when I finally allowed myself real rest, I became more creative, more focused, even more kind.
That's beautiful. It's almost like, by stepping back, you moved forward.
I love that. And I started taking walks without my phone. No music, no podcasts. Just the sound of nature and my own thoughts.
That sounds so peaceful. Did it feel strange at first?
Very strange. My brain was like, wait, where's the noise? But after a while, it started to slow down. I began noticing little things: the texture of leaves, the feeling of wind on my face, even the rhythm of my own steps.
That's mindfulness right there. Being present. We don't always have to meditate to find peace, sometimes we just need to walk slowly and see the world again.
Yes, and in those moments, I remembered parts of myself I'd forgotten, dreams I'd buried, thoughts I hadn't heard in years.
That's so powerful. I think silence has a way of revealing truths we didn't know we were hiding.
Totally. But I'm curious, what about you? What's something you've recently realized or changed?
For me, I've started practicing radical acceptance.
That sounds intriguing. What do you mean by radical acceptance?
It's the idea of accepting things exactly as they are, especially the things I can't control. It doesn't mean I agree with everything or like it, but I stop fighting reality.
That's deep. So instead of resisting what's happening, you lean into it.
Yes, because I realized that so much of my stress came not from what was happening, but from resisting what was happening.
That's so real. The internal struggle, the "this shouldn't be happening" voice, it makes things worse.
Exactly. But when I started saying, okay, this is where I am right now, this is what's happening, I can handle it, I felt more grounded.
It's empowering. You're not giving up, you're choosing peace over panic.
Yes, and it's changed how I deal with uncertainty. I don't need all the answers to feel okay.
That's something we all need to learn, especially in a world that changes so fast.
And especially for people like me who love to plan and control everything. Letting go is hard, but it's freeing.
So true. Sometimes the best things happen when we stop forcing and start flowing.
I love that. Stop forcing, start flowing. That should be on a mug.
Haha, or a t-shirt. Merch idea for the English Hour.
Don't tempt me, but seriously, it's a good reminder. Life isn't always a straight line, it's more like a river.
With twists and turns and unexpected rapids, but also still waters and beautiful views.
Exactly. And the more we learn to flow with it, the less we suffer.
So let me ask you this: when was the last time you felt completely in flow?
I think it was during a spontaneous conversation with a stranger at a bookstore. We started talking about poetry, and suddenly 2 hours had passed.
Wow. That's the best kind of connection: unexpected, unplanned, and soul deep.
Yes, I left feeling lighter, inspired. It reminded me that magic still exists in ordinary places.
That's beautiful. It's a reminder that sometimes the best parts of life happen when we're not looking for them.
Yes. And maybe that's the secret: stay open, stay curious, and let life surprise you.
Stay open, stay curious. I think that's a theme for this whole episode.
It really is. And I feel like we've only just begun.
Yeah. I feel like we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more we can explore from here.
Totally. And since we're already in a thoughtful space, let's pivot a little. What's something you've unlearned recently?
Ooh, that's a powerful question. Let me think. I think I've been unlearning the idea that vulnerability is weakness.
Yes. That's such a common one, especially for men. There's this silent pressure to always be strong.
Exactly. And strong has been misdefined for so long. Like, don't cry, don't feel too deeply, don't talk about your fears. But holding it in, that takes a toll.
It really does. I think true strength is being able to say, I'm hurting, but I'm still here.
Yes. Or, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm still showing up. That's strength.
And when we share like that, it actually builds connection. People see the real us, not the performance.
Exactly. And when we're real, we give others permission to be real too.
Have you had moments where you opened up and were surprised by how people responded?
Absolutely. I remember once I talked to a close friend about something I'd been carrying for years. I thought he'd pull away or be weird about it, but instead he just said, "Thank you for telling me. I felt that too." And suddenly, we were closer than ever.
That's so moving. And it shows how powerful shared experience is. We're all carrying something when we speak it. We lighten the load.
Totally. I used to think I had to go through hard things alone to be strong. Now I realize community is strength.
That makes me think, what do you think real friendship looks like?
Oh, great question. For me, real friendship means safety. A space where I can be my full self, messy, unsure, joyful, whatever, and know that I'm still accepted.
Yes, not having to shrink or edit yourself. Just being.
Exactly. And it's mutual. I want my friends to know they can show up exactly as they are too.
I love that. And I'd add, real friendship is consistent, even when it's quiet. Like, you don't have to talk every day, but the love doesn't fade.
Yes, it's that quiet knowing. I've got you, you've got me.
And sometimes, real friends just sit in silence, and that's enough.
Absolutely. The older I get, the more I value that kind of peace in a connection.
Me too. Energy speaks louder than words. If I feel safe with you, that's everything.
Speaking of energy, have you ever met someone and instantly felt either super calm or super tense, even without knowing them?
Oh yes. I believe we pick up on people's inner worlds without even realizing it. Energy doesn't lie.
That's why I try to keep my own energy in check. Like, if I'm walking into a room heavy with stress or anger, people feel that, even if I say nothing.
That's so self-aware. And it's true, we all contribute to the energy of a space. Imagine if more people realized that.
The world would feel so different. More intentional, more compassionate.
Yes. And maybe quieter in a good way, not so noisy with judgment or performance.
That's a great point. We're so overstimulated sometimes. Social media, news, opinions, it's a lot.
It is. And I think it's okay to unplug sometimes. Not just from devices, but from expectations too.
Oh wow, yes. Unplugging from who you think you should be and just being.
Yes. That's when you come home to yourself. When you stop trying to impress and start trying to understand.
I love that. Come home to yourself. That's a beautiful phrase, Sophia.
Thank you. I think we all have a home inside us. But we get lost sometimes, distracted by what the world wants us to be.
And the journey is remembering that we were always enough, just as we are.
Exactly. Growth is beautiful, but it doesn't mean we were ever lacking to begin with.
That's a huge shift in mindset. From, I need to fix myself, to, I want to know myself.
Yes. Because when we know ourselves, we start making choices that feel like truth, not obligation.
That's when life starts to align. Not perfectly, but peacefully.
Peace over perfection. That's something I'm still learning.
Me too. But every day we choose peace, we get a little closer to ourselves.
And to each other. Because real connection starts with being real with you first.
So true. We can't expect depth with others if we don't allow it within.
This is such a rich conversation, Jacob. I feel like we've entered a space where the heart speaks louder than the mind.
I feel the same. It's like everything we're saying is coming from that quiet, wise part of us that doesn't always get airtime.
And I think it's what people crave. Not just information but presence, depth, and realness.
Absolutely. And I hope everyone listening knows that this space is for them too. No pressure to be perfect, just come as you are.
Yes, just come as you are. You're welcome here. So, Jacob, let's talk a bit about creativity. I know you're a creative person. How do you define creativity for yourself?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think creativity is the ability to see the world in a way that others don't. It's about finding new angles, perspectives, and solutions to everyday things. It's how we solve problems, tell stories, and express ourselves.
I love that. Creativity isn't just about art or music. It's in every decision we make, every way we interact with the world.
Exactly. And I think sometimes we forget that creativity doesn't have to look like a masterpiece. It can just be finding a new way to organize your day or inventing a new way to communicate with someone.
I completely agree. It's about thinking outside the box, no matter how big or small. I think we've all been conditioned to think creativity equals painting or writing, but it's so much more than that.
Yes, and it's often messy too. It's not always about being polished, it's about being brave enough to try something new.
I think that's what stops a lot of people. The fear of not getting it right. But creativity is about getting messy.
Yes, and sometimes what we create doesn't even need to be seen by anyone else. The act of creating is what's powerful.
I love that creating for the sake of creating, not for validation.
Exactly. And that's a freeing thought, isn't it? To know that you don't have to answer to anyone else about your process or your outcome.
It is. And I think that's what makes art and creativity in general so personal. It's an expression of your inner world.
It is. I think the more I've embraced creativity as a form of self-expression, the more I've been able to grow. It's like opening up new doors inside yourself.
And it's one of the few things that isn't about comparison. No one can truly replicate your exact creativity. It's yours.
Yes. There's only one you and only one version of your creativity. That's why it's irreplaceable.
That's really profound. I also think creativity helps us process emotions. Like when you're feeling overwhelmed, creating something, anything, can be a way to channel that energy.
Yes, that's why writing or drawing or even cooking can be such a release. It helps organize our chaotic thoughts.
Absolutely. I've heard people say that journaling helps them process their day and thoughts in a way that just talking doesn't.
I've definitely experienced that. When I write, it's like I'm talking to myself without any judgment. It's just a space to get everything out.
Writing can be so therapeutic. And it doesn't have to be for anyone else. It's just you and your thoughts in the purest form.
Exactly. I think everyone should find that personal creative outlet, something that's theirs just for them.
That's such an important point. People often get lost in what they think others will like. But it's so much more meaningful when you create for yourself.
Right? It's almost like a secret language between you and yourself. And when you're not worried about what others think, the creativity flows more naturally.
Yes. And it doesn't matter how skilled you are, it's about the freedom of expression, not the final product.
I agree. It's also about making space for mistakes. They're often the key to discovering something new.
Exactly. Mistakes are just another part of the creative process. Without them, there wouldn't be progress.
That's so true. Think about all the great innovations in the world. So many came from things going wrong before they went right.
It's like how every great artist had to fail a million times before creating their masterpiece. You have to go through the uncomfortable stages to get to the breakthrough.
And that's why we shouldn't fear failure. I think the only true failure is giving up before the breakthrough happens.
Yes, every time you keep going, you're one step closer. It's those small steps that add up to something big.
It's all about consistency and trust. trusting that the process will lead you somewhere good even if it doesn't make sense in the moment.
So true. Trusting the process is something I'm still learning, especially when things don't seem to be moving forward.
Oh, I get that. But I think the real growth happens when we keep going, even in the quiet moments, even when we don't see results right away.
Yes, those moments where nothing seems to be happening are often the moments when we're learning the most.
That's the paradox, isn't it? The quiet, unseen moments are just as valuable as the loud, exciting ones.
Definitely. And those moments build the foundation for everything else.
That's why consistency is so important. It's like laying down bricks to build something. It doesn't look like much at first, but eventually, you've built a strong structure.
I love that analogy. You don't see the results immediately, but each small effort contributes to the bigger picture.
And I think that applies to personal growth as well. Every little effort to improve, to learn, to change it adds up.
Yes, it's the compound effect of small actions. I've seen that in my own life. Little by little, you start noticing how far you've come.
And sometimes, you only realize the progress when you look back. When you're in it, it can feel like you're standing still.
That's true. It's easy to get discouraged when you're focused on the day, today. But when you step back, you see how much you've evolved.
And sometimes, it's the quiet moments of reflection that make the biggest impact. When you take a breath and realize how far you've come.
Yes, those moments are everything. And I think they remind us to be kind to ourselves.
Definitely, we can be our own worst critics. But we have to remember that we're always doing the best we can.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a race. And there's no one, right, way to do it. We all grow at our own pace.
I love that. It's a journey. And sometimes the path is just as important as the destination.
So, Jacob, let's talk about the power of small habits. You mentioned before how consistency is key. How do you stay consistent with your creative work?
That's a good question. For me, it's about building small habits that I can repeat every day, even if I don't feel like it. I think it's about setting a goal that's achievable, something you can do no matter what.
Yes, sometimes the hardest part is just getting started. But once you're in the flow, it's easier to keep going.
Exactly. The hardest part is always the beginning. But I think when you make it a non-negotiable habit, it's easier to push through those days when motivation is low.
I like that. A non-negotiable habit. That makes it sound like something you do whether you feel like it or not. Almost like brushing your teeth.
Exactly, it becomes so ingrained that it's just part of your day. And when you make that time for your creative work every day, it starts to feel like second nature.
So, what's your daily routine? Like when you're trying to stay consistent with your work?
Well, I try to start my day early, right after I wake up. I'll spend the first 30 minutes working on something creative, whether it's writing, drawing, or brainstorming new ideas.
That sounds like a great way to kick off the day. I've heard that mornings are the best time for creative thinking, since your mind is still fresh.
Yeah, I found that too. My mind is much clearer in the morning, and I feel like I can get more done without the distractions of the day weighing on me. Plus, it sets a positive tone for the rest of the day.
I think that's such a good point. The mornings are your opportunity to set the tone for everything else. It's like creating a solid foundation before the world gets busy.
Exactly, it's your time to invest in yourself before anything else demands your attention. And it's a small way to ensure that your creative work doesn't get pushed aside.
That's so true. If we don't make time for our creative endeavors, it's easy for them to get lost in the shuffle of daily life.
Right. And I also try to break down bigger projects into smaller, more manageable tasks. That way I don't get overwhelmed, and I can keep making progress each day.
Oh, I love that. Breaking things down into smaller tasks helps avoid the feeling of being stuck. It also makes the whole project feel less intimidating.
Exactly. It's all about taking those first few steps, no matter how small. It's the act of showing up every day that leads to real progress.
And I think that applies to a lot of things in life. Whether it's a big goal or a personal project, starting small and staying consistent helps make those bigger dreams a reality.
Yes, consistency really is the key. Even if you can only dedicate 15 minutes a day to something, those 15 minutes add up over time.
That's so powerful. You don't need to dedicate hours every day. Just small, focused chunks of time can make all the difference in the long run.
Totally. And I think the more consistent you are, the easier it becomes to keep going, even on the days when you're not feeling inspired.
That's a great point. It's like building momentum. Once you start, it gets easier to keep pushing forward.
Exactly. Momentum is everything. And I've found that when you build that momentum, it carries you through the days when your energy or inspiration isn't as high.
It's almost like a snowball effect. At first, it's small, but the more you keep going, the bigger it gets, and the more you can achieve.
Yes, that's a perfect way to put it. And I think it also applies to personal growth. The more consistent we are with improving ourselves, the more those small improvements add up to bigger changes over time.
I couldn't agree more. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it feels like nothing is happening in the moment.
Yeah, sometimes progress feels invisible, but it's happening beneath the surface. You just have to trust that the work you're putting in will pay off eventually.
That's such an important mindset. Trusting the process and knowing that even when you can't see the results right away, the effort is still making a difference.
Exactly. And I think that's something we often forget. We want immediate results, but growth takes time. The real value is in the journey.
Yes, the journey is where the transformation happens. It's where we learn, grow, and discover new things about ourselves.
And I think that's where we find the most satisfaction too. The process of creation, the challenges we face along the way, that's what makes it all worthwhile.
That's so true. And I think, ultimately, it's the journey that defines us. The things we create along the way, the lessons we learn, and the moments of growth, those are the things that stay with us.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's so important to enjoy the process, even the tough moments. It's all part of what makes the final product so meaningful.
Yes, the struggles, the moments of doubt, and the breakthroughs, they all weave together to create something special.
Exactly. And when we look back, we realize that it was those moments of struggle that made the success even sweeter.
So true. It's the contrast of highs and lows that makes the victories feel earned.
And that's why I think embracing the challenges is just as important as celebrating the wins. They shape who we are.
Yes, embracing challenges is key to growth. They teach us resilience and show us what we're really capable of.
It's like training for a marathon. You don't just jump in and run the race, you have to train, and that training involves struggle and pushing yourself past your limits.
I love that analogy. The race isn't just about crossing the finish line, it's about how you train and prepare for it.
Exactly. And the more we embrace the process of preparing for something, the more we enjoy the race when we finally get there.
So, do you think the journey is more important than the destination?
In many ways, yes. The destination might give us a sense of accomplishment, but it's the journey that teaches us the most. That's where the growth happens.
I love that perspective. It makes me think about how we approach our personal goals. We often focus so much on the end result that we forget to enjoy the steps along the way.
Exactly. And when we're too focused on the end goal, we miss out on all the lessons that the process has to offer.
It's almost like we're so focused on the destination that we forget the journey is where all the magic happens.
Yeah, the magic is in the daily moments, in the small actions that add up over time. That's where the real growth takes place.
That's such an important message. I think we can all benefit from focusing more on the journey and less on the destination.
Absolutely. It's about appreciating every step along the way because each step is part of your story.
So, Jacob, shifting gears a little bit, I've always been curious, how do you handle those days when things just aren't going the way you planned?
Those days can be tough, for sure. Honestly, I think it's about not letting those setbacks define the entire journey. It's normal to have tough days, and I try not to get too discouraged.
That's a great mindset to have. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't go right. but it's reassuring to know that it's all part of the process.
Exactly. And sometimes I try to remind myself that setbacks are often just detours, not dead ends. It's about finding a way to work through the challenges and keep going.
I like how you put that setbacks are detours, not dead ends. It makes them sound a lot less intimidating.
Yeah, they don't have to be the end of the road. Often, a setback is just a redirection, a chance to rethink things or try a different approach.
And that kind of perspective really helps in staying motivated. It reminds us that the journey is rarely linear, and that's okay.
Definitely. I think it's all about staying flexible. When you stay open to different solutions, even when things go wrong, it keeps the momentum going.
Flexibility is key. Life doesn't always follow our plans, but we have the ability to adapt and learn from the unexpected.
Exactly. And sometimes the best breakthroughs happen when we step out of our comfort zone and try something completely different.
That's so true. Growth doesn't always come from staying in our safe zone. It comes from embracing uncertainty and learning to navigate it.
And that can be scary, but it's when we face those fears and take risks that we unlock new possibilities for ourselves.
It's amazing how stepping into the unknown can bring out so much potential. It's like a whole new world of opportunities opens up once we take that first step.
Yeah, and it's not always easy, but the reward often outweighs the fear once you've made the leap.
I love that. It's all about the courage to face uncertainty. And sometimes, that's where the most exciting opportunities lie.
Absolutely. And I think that's also where true creativity comes from, the willingness to venture beyond what we know and experiment with new ideas.
That's a brilliant point. Creativity thrives in the space of uncertainty and exploration.
Yes, because creativity is about seeing things from new angles, making connections between seemingly unrelated ideas, and pushing boundaries. You can't do that if you're only sticking to what's comfortable.
So true. The best creative ideas often come from moments when we feel a bit uncomfortable or unsure about something.
Exactly. It's like once we push ourselves past that initial discomfort, we start to discover ideas and solutions we might not have considered before.
I love that. It's like discomfort is a sign that we're on the edge of something new and exciting.
Yes, I think the best breakthroughs happen when we're willing to challenge ourselves and move through the discomfort instead of avoiding it.
It's like that saying, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. It's a reminder that the hard work and challenges are often where we find our biggest transformations.
That's exactly it. And it's not just about achieving the big goal, it's about who you become in the process. The person you grow into along the way is just as important as the destination itself.
That's such a powerful way to look at it. It's not just the achievements that define us, but the lessons, habits, and resilience we develop along the way.
Exactly. And I think those lessons and habits are what help us sustain success in the long term. It's about building something that's not just a one-time achievement, but a lasting part of who we are.
It's about building a foundation for the future. A solid foundation that can support us through whatever comes our way.
Yes, a foundation that allows us to keep growing, keep adapting, and keep pushing forward no matter what challenges arise.
And I think that's the real beauty of creativity. It's not just about creating something once, but about developing the mindset and the habits that help us keep creating over time.
That's exactly it. It's a lifelong process, and the journey of creativity never truly ends. There's always something new to explore, something new to learn.
And that's what makes it so exciting. The fact that we're constantly evolving and discovering new ways to express ourselves.
Yes, and that's the beauty of being a creator. We never stop growing, and that constant evolution keeps things fresh and inspiring.
That's such a great way to look at it. Creativity is really about embracing change, staying curious, and always looking for new ways to evolve.
Exactly. And I think that's what keeps people passionate about what they do. It's the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of creating something new.
That's what keeps us coming back for more, right? The endless potential for discovery and growth.
Exactly. The process of discovery is what fuels the creative journey, and I think that's what makes it so fulfilling. Every day is a new opportunity to learn, grow, and create something unique.
I love that perspective. It's all about embracing the journey and the endless possibilities it brings.
Absolutely. And even on the hard days, remembering that every step forward, no matter how small, is still progress.
So true. Every step, no matter how difficult it may seem, takes us closer to where we want to be.
And every challenge faced is another opportunity to grow. It's all part of the process.
Definitely. And at the end of the day, it's about looking back and realizing how much we've learned and how far we've come.
That's the beauty of it all. The journey itself is just as valuable, if not more so, than the end result.
You know, Jacob, it's amazing how much we learn just by going through the process. Even when things don't work out exactly as planned, we come out of it with new insights.
That's exactly it. The failures, the mistakes, they're all part of the learning process. I think the most valuable lessons come from those moments when things don't go as expected.
It's almost like the failures are what teach us the most, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, some of the best ideas I've had came after I failed at something. It's almost like you need to go through those bumps to get to the breakthrough.
That's a great point. It's like every failure is a stepping stone towards success, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes those failures push us to try harder or approach things in a completely different way. It forces us to think outside the box.
It's that change of perspective that often leads to the most creative solutions.
Exactly. And once we start looking at challenges from a different angle, we often find that the solutions were there all along. We just needed to change our approach to see them.
It's funny how that works when you step back, reassess, and come at things with fresh eyes. The whole situation can look different.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about slowing down for a moment, taking a breath, and giving yourself space to see the bigger picture.
Absolutely. We can get so caught up in the hustle that we forget to take that step back and reflect. And that reflection is often when the clarity hits.
I couldn't agree more. Reflection allows us to connect the dots in ways we didn't see before. It's like the puzzle pieces finally falling into place.
That's a really powerful image, the puzzle pieces coming together. It's a reminder that everything we go through, even the tough moments, is part of the bigger picture.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not clear how all the pieces fit right away. But with time and a little patience, the puzzle starts to make sense.
Patience is such an important part of the process. We often want immediate results, but true growth takes time.
That's the challenge, isn't it? Learning to trust the process even when things seem uncertain. We want to see instant progress, but real change takes time.
It's like planting a seed and watching it grow. You don't see the results immediately, but with patience and care, it eventually blooms.
Exactly. And just like plants need time to grow, we need that same space to evolve. We might not always see the results right away, but that doesn't mean nothing's happening beneath the surface.
That's a great analogy. It's easy to overlook the progress we're making when we don't see instant results, but every step counts.
It's all part of the process. Every little thing adds up to the bigger picture, even if we don't realize it at first.
And when we look back, we realize just how much we've accomplished. It's amazing how far we've come, even when it feels like small steps at the time.
Exactly. It's those small steps that build momentum and eventually lead to bigger accomplishments. Progress doesn't always have to be huge, it's the consistency that matters.
I love that point. Consistency over time often leads to the biggest changes, even if they seem small in the moment.
Yeah, it's like building a muscle. It's not about lifting the heaviest weight in one go. It's about showing up every day and doing the work, no matter how small it seems.
Consistency and persistence, they go hand in hand. And eventually, all that hard work adds up.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the key ingredients to success, being persistent, even when things aren't going perfectly.
Absolutely. It's the willingness to keep going, even when the results aren't immediate, That makes the difference in the long run.
Persistence is like the fuel that keeps us going, even when the road gets tough.
And when we look back on those tough moments, we realize how much stronger we've become because we kept pushing through.
Yeah, those tough times actually help shape us into better versions of ourselves. They teach us resilience, patience, and determination.
And that resilience, once built, becomes a powerful tool we can rely on in the future.
Absolutely. It's like you're building your own inner strength, which makes facing new challenges a little easier each time.
It's like each challenge adds to our toolkit of skills and strategies, so we're more equipped the next time something difficult comes up.
And that's what makes the journey so rewarding. Every challenge, every failure, and every success adds a new skill to our toolkit.
Exactly. The journey isn't just about the end goal, it's about who we become along the way.
That's so true. The journey is really about personal growth and development, not just achieving something. The growth we experience along the way shapes us into who we are meant to be.
And that growth is something we carry with us throughout our lives. It's a foundation for everything we do moving forward.
Exactly. And I think it's important to celebrate that growth, even the small wins. They matter just as much as the big ones.
Celebrating the small wins is such a key part of staying motivated. Every step forward is progress, no matter how small it may seem.
Definitely. And taking the time to acknowledge those wins reminds us that we're on the right path, even when things get tough.
It's like keeping a journal of all our victories, no matter how minor. When we look back, we realize how much we've achieved.
I love that idea. It's a great way to stay focused on progress and remind ourselves of how far we've come.
You know, Jacob, I think a big part of the journey is realizing that success isn't always about reaching the final destination. It's about the growth, the lessons, and the experiences we gather along the way.
Absolutely, Sophia. The destination might feel rewarding, but it's the process that truly shapes who we are. The journey itself is where the real value lies.
And when we focus on the journey, we start to appreciate the small moments, the little wins, the lessons learned, the connections made.
That's right, it's those moments that give the journey meaning and make the end result so much more fulfilling.
So, in the end, it's not just about getting to the finish line. It's about how we grow and evolve as we make our way there.
Exactly. The path we take and the person we become along the way are just as important as where we end up.
Well said, Jacob. It's a reminder for all of us to embrace the journey and appreciate the process. Thank you for such an insightful conversation today.
My pleasure, Sophia. It's been great talking with you. I think this is the kind of conversation that can really make a difference.
I completely agree. And to everyone listening, remember your journey is unique, and every step, no matter how small, is a part of your growth. Keep pushing forward. Embrace the process and celebrate every little win.
You got it. Keep learning, growing, and evolving, and never underestimate the power of consistency.
That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you take away something valuable from today's conversation. Until next time.